Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you again for joining us for another episode of Are We Crazy? Where does this one come from?
So this one came from the Western United States.
Okay. All right. So my question is about how to approach a relationship with someone that doesn't have any experience or knowledge of being with someone that has PTSD, anxiety, depression issues. It is hard to find people who are willing to get involved in a relationship with a veteran who is experiencing issues with this, unless they are veterans themselves, but not that many are out there. Also, from a veteran's perspective, how to best bring the matter up to a potential love interest.
The public kind of misunderstands not every veteran is a combat veteran. Not every veteran has even deployed. And so knowing that, initially starting relationships, I would have to think that whoever you're dating, and we're going to take it from the man's perspective, dating a woman, whoever you are dating, hopefully is intuitive enough to see exactly what is going on. And there's kind of two separations within, let's just say, dating a combat veteran or dating a veteran who has PTSD or depression or anxiety issues. One is that we have to deal with symptoms, and the second is that we have to deal with a belief system, okay? So know that the early stages of life set the stage for everything else in life. Okay, so our early events set the stage for our later events. So you may not have had a bad combat experience. You may have had abandonment by a parent, death of a parent, divorce, alcoholic parent, something else that's gone on that's kind of caused some relational or attachment issues. So let's just talk about symptoms first of all. I remember in the early years of dating my husband when I was in grad school, and it was Christmas time, and we were going out to dinner, and where we were, the town had decorated things, and there was Christmas music over the loudspeaker.
What's your husband's background?
Corpsman, Combat, 2nd Marine LAR. Okay, so we get out of the vehicle, everything is fine because it's quiet. We step up on the sidewalk, and then all of a sudden, Christmas music starts blaring, and he almost hit the ground. I mean, the urge was to go down, and you could see it in his response. For him, and post sandbox life, what happens when things come over a loudspeaker? Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. So for the audience, it's the call to prayer, 5 times a day. And generally after the call to prayer, something bad happens, especially when it comes down to nighttime. 90% of your work was done at night. So those are more symptomatic things: high anxiety, hypervigilance, insomnia, not being able to sleep well, nightmares, that kind of stuff. So simple education can be provided to somebody in the early dating phases about, this is really kind of what makes me anxious, or I don't really do crowds. We can go, but if we could sit at the back, that would be great. We can go, but I may have to take a break at the 20 or 30-minute mark, so know that it's not you, it's me, simply taking a break from the amount of people that are there, okay? So that's the first piece. The second piece is that everybody has a belief system. Okay, everybody has negative cognitions and positive cognitions about themselves. And cognitions are simply beliefs, opinions, thoughts about ourselves and the world. Those are formulated and shaped by the experiences that we go through in life. So I want you to think about a low magnification scope. Okay, we're not using long range target shooting. Okay, we're not sniping at Chris Kyle style. We're talking low magnification, everyday hunting scope. What happens in the hunting scope with light rays? How does that look initially?
Really dim, or is it bright?
Distorted, right?
Yeah, of course.
Distorted. Okay, so aberrations of a scope include field curvature and distortion. Okay, so if we take that as our example, the information that comes into the front lens is the reality. By the time it gets to your eyeball, it has been distorted simply because of refraction and the way that light functions. So if you think of that in my belief system and how I date people, there's reality, and then there's what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking about myself. Okay, so let's take an example of that. So let's just say that you're in a dating relationship or marriage, and you propose sex for the night, and whoever the partner is says, I'm just not feeling it. Sorry, it's just not the night. And your response or belief system is, I'm not good enough, or she doesn't want me. Okay, fair?
Fair, very fair.
Okay, very fair. So the information and reality, when we're looking through our scope, is that she probably is just tired, not in the mood, whatever it may be. But by the time it gets to your optic nerve, it's been distorted, and
True.
the belief system is, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not wanted. Okay? So a lot of the time, challenges in relationships are about belief systems, not symptoms. Those will continue into other things in discussing finances, but primarily trust. A lot of you do not engage in relationships, and you sabotage them early on because of the fear that someone is going to leave you.
Well played.
The fear is that I'm not good enough, I'm not wanted, I'm a bad person, I'm not lovable, those kinds of things. And so knowing that, I would really say in the early stages of a dating relationship, how are you looking at things, and are you looking at them accurately? That will be incredibly helpful. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. I definitely hear you. So we're going to take all that science stuff you just said, we're going to dumb it down to our level, what we call the caveman level. So when you brought me this question yesterday, it actually hits home because I just got out of a 19-year marriage, but I was blessed that I had a significant other that knew how to interact with me through my, waking up crying, waking up, screaming. So all those years that we were together and going through the wars and stuff, so it was easy for that person. And it didn't even hit me, now being divorced, that, how do I find someone who will tolerate without chasing them away?
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. And that's the other thing is, and
Yeah.
I know this veteran personally, let me tell you what, if you can find somebody to tolerate you, you better hang on to dear life, okay?
That's the key word, tolerate.
And that's the case for a lot of you. And it's not that women don't have issues too, or the other partner, they do. They have their own scope and their own distortions that they're dealing with. Again, whether it was early life experiences or a prior marriage or whatever you can think of, she has her lens and you have your lens, okay? And like I said, way over yonder in the distance is reality. Okay.
So, do we warn them? Like, hey, by the way, I might wake up, screaming and choking you one night.
Well, did you ever watch Bet TV and the night,
yes,
the night race terror?
Yes, oh my gosh.
So it kind of depends. If you do, let me back up. I'm not asking that you share intimate details of prior trauma with them. That's not appropriate. Okay. If they ask or they get nosy, I would almost be a little bit concerned about that. They're not your therapist, they're your girlfriend, they're your wife, whatever. But so it kind of depends on, are you living together?
Right.
Are you around her children or your children? Is she around your children? Those kinds of things.
So if you reach that level already, they should have
they should have a clue
of your background.
Yes,
what all you've done and stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay. Right.
And like I said, if she's not intuitive enough to pick up on you hitting the ground when Christmas music comes on, or the discomfort at a concert, or the decline of going to the movies, or any type of social outing, I don't know that you want to be with somebody who's like that anyway. If they don't notice your behavior, that should kind of be a sign that maybe they don't really pay attention, or that something else is going on with them personally. The important thing to remember is that there's a big difference between symptoms and the person. Okay, you are not the symptoms, and the symptoms are not you. They are separate things, and sometimes the bad interaction is simply the symptoms talking. And so if you have a bad interaction, you need to take a step back and say, was that really me being an a-hole, or was that symptom irritability and just not coping with it well? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Symptoms, people are not symptoms. Does that make sense?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, so follow-up questions to that?
No, I think you just covered everything right there. So pretty much, find somebody that can tolerate you.
Find somebody that can tolerate you. Let's try not to muff the punt, so to speak. And just remember that things are distorted, or things are not always what they seem based on our experiences. So you really have to challenge those thoughts. To that, I would also add, if the symptoms are getting bad enough, you need to think about what's involved in your life. Are you smoking pot? Are you drinking heavily? What is making it worse? Because we choose our substance based on our symptoms. So if we're anxious about social things, then we drink to come back down. Okay.
So on the other spectrum, what advice would you give to the significant other that's dating a veteran with all those symptoms?
So to that, I would say patience, patience, patience.
And run?
Okay. Well, for some of you, yeah.
Run!
Patience, patience, patience. Try to be tolerant and understanding. you're not a therapist, that's not your job. If they will go talk to somebody, that is a great thing. But unfortunately, a lot of my veterans don't come to see me until it is too late, and then we are digging ourselves out of a hole, whether it's in dating or marriages. And I've had men who were married before. I have one now who was married for 12 or so years, and the symptoms were so bad that he ended up leaving the marriage in about 2017. And we've gone the 3-year cycle of alcohol usage, pot, and marijuana, and now we're in treatment, not using any of those things. And he said, wow, did I screw up? It was always the symptoms talking. It was never me talking, and actually trying to reconcile with his ex-wife and make that work. So to the spouses, I would say find support, online support, find a therapist for yourself. It's totally doable. It just takes work. Even when the stars align and everything is perfect, marriages still work. So,
Great.
does that answer the question?
It does.
Okay.